Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Bruce, CMO at AgentMoves, and welcome to our Good to Great series. We're all about sharing amazing stories of top realtors and how they got there so we can help make more realtors great. Hey, let's jump in today with our guest, Karen Smyth. How you doing,
Hi,
Karen?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, real good, real good. So people that watch some of these videos know I'd like to talk about something not related to real estate, since that's what we'll be talking about for the next 20 minutes. And some really cool stuff with Karen that I loved hearing about. She teaches visualization classes as well as like a life coach. And of course, it plays into real estate well, but dealing with kids, with really anyone. So I'd love to hear a little bit about, especially the visualization part and how you're helping people, achieve their goals.
Well, thanks. I think it started actually when I started playing soccer when I was a kid and I wanted to get on a team or I wanted to achieve something in soccer. So it just kind of continued through my whole life. I wanted to get into a specific college. We talked about the University of Michigan. I've always looked at things in a visual way and then gone after it. So you sort of set your goals. You decide that you're putting everything forward towards that. So you take luck out of the equation. You're really actually doing activities and you're doing affirmations and you're doing certain things to get to where you want to get to. And you have to put yourself in those positions. So as an adult, I started using it in real estate because it's an entrepreneurial, very difficult business. And as long as you're continuing to know where you're going, you have a path. So if you want to get to the moon and you set your path to that moon, you're continuously seeing it in your foreground. It's a possibility, never an impossibility. And I teach these kind of classes to agents. I do it on Zoom. I do it in person. And then I also teach people one-on-one and kind of help them get out of their ruts and blocks that they might have towards achieving whatever their personal goals are: life, health, religion, spirituality, weight, whatever is going on that they feel that they have a block with.
Right. Well, it's a fantastic connection to real estate. I know, agents unfortunately have a bad rep, if you will, out there, right? And we know that, again, I'm talking to dozens and dozens of agents, and it's the same story through the most successful agents. It's about helping people.
Oh, yeah.
And right, when you're dealing with the biggest transaction of their life. So you with, what you're doing even personally with life coaching, the connection is fantastic.
I think it's interesting. Any agent can be as successful as they want to be, but they come in sometimes with the wrong mindset, if I'm honest. And so if they're interested in just getting a deal or making money, they're never really concerned about the other person's outcomes, or that's a secondary outcome. And if you change your mindset towards the possibilities, the opportunities, and then are constantly chasing the assistance that you're providing for them, the consultation, you're going to achieve those things. So you start with mindset. And if your mindset is correct, it can go into learning, which is your skill set, where a lot of people spend way too much time inside their skill set, learning classes, learning, and they don't actually go into action. So there are three parts, and you should spend your time equally getting your mindset correct, your visualization, your personal soul, whatever you need to temper your grounding, then actually learn how to do the things and continuously learn, never feel like you're ever finished with learning, and then go into action. If you're just sitting around and dreaming about these things, it's never going to happen. You actually have to step forward and make mistakes and fall.
Beautiful. God, I love that. We can end the interview now. No, I'm
Okay, okay.
kidding. It's all about giving nuggets of information, right? Someone watching a webinar or a podcast, and whatever, that's all. I mean, someone gets one thing out of in all of these videos, I'm happy. That was awesome. I love that because it's related to anything. It's not just real estate.
Oh,
So
and
it's
all of us are going to have bad days, right? This is the conversation we talked a little bit about at the beginning. You're never going to have a perfect science, but if you have a systematic approach to your life, look, for instance, if you want to have a health goal, well, what is your health goal? And then let's talk about a plan to get there. But if you don't consistently take care of your body, you're going to have doctor's appointments later. That's a fact. So if you are avoiding that, if you're trying to get to a place where you're avoiding that in the future, maybe you work in to your schedule a time to exercise. Well, you're doing the same thing. You're working in time to lead generate for clients. You're working in time to spend with your spouses. A lot of people get into real estate. They don't manage their health. They don't manage their marriage. They don't manage their relationships with their children. And then they're wondering what happened. I made a lot of money, but I don't have anything for it. Or I'm not able to start making money. I don't know the first step. Well, there's a system for everything. You look at someone who's successful and you mimic what they're doing and you stay passionate, disciplined, and hold yourself accountable, sometimes to someone else. So as a coach and a teacher, I think I do that for people. I hold them accountable. And then over time, they develop and they go into the right direction.
yeah, no, I love it, and I have heard those stories. I've heard agents, it got so big so fast, they weren't with their families, their
Mm,
wives were freaking out, like, it's either gonna be work or home, and they had to
right.
find a way to kinda bring it back and balance life that way, and where someone like you can help them like that.
And the best agents have all been through trials and tribulations, if I'm honest, because they're still
Yeah,
consistent. If I've done this for 20 years, you better believe I've had low times. So how
yeah,
do you get out of those low times? I think you cannot work in a vacuum. You must understand that real estate or entrepreneurship is all collaborative. You have to have peer partners, you have to have mentors, and then you have to have people that you actually help. If you don't have those three layers, you're solo flying, and no one succeeds alone. No one succeeds
yeah.
alone. So the first thing you do is you might find a peer or you might find a coach, but those things are going to help you get to where you need to go.
Absolutely great. Okay, so tell us now, how do you get involved in real estate? How did it start?
Well, I think I was actually on a track to do something completely different. I had gotten an MBA and I spoke four languages and I was traveling the world with this international job and in Atlanta doing very, very well. And I found my spouse and we were really excited. And he said, you're doing a ton of traveling. What about doing something a little more close to home and less international? And I had always been told I'm a people person. I interact well with others. I'm outgoing. I'm gregarious. I'm a little driven. Maybe real estate or maybe sales was going to be something for me, and I was avoiding the sales concept. And then someone did reach out to me and asked me if I would be a real estate agent, get my license. I passed right away. I thought it was sort of interesting that I was able to jump in really quickly, but it's stressful at the beginning. You're trying to find someone who trusts you enough to work with you. So I got into it, taking a leap of faith, getting newly married and I quit my corporate job. And I believe the best agents they're not going to have a backup plan. They're not doing it part time. They're
Right.
going in at 100% and committing to something. And I think you should do that in everything in life. So I'm 110% in anything in my life. Everyone knows this about me. If you're just putting your toe in it, you're not going to be successful. That's the one thing I can tell you. You got to decide and you got to get your partner committed. So with my partner, my spouse and I, when we were committed, we were able to be successful and we're still doing that. He's still helping me. We're still visualizing. We find ways to continue to increase our opportunities, our trips, things with our children. So you have to have all of those pieces and never think that you can't do anything. But remember, you need the resources to come along the path with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about that first year commitment, drop the corporate job, and it's a big deal. I know a lot of agents that struggled with doing exactly what you said, and those are the ones that keep the job and try. It takes them years. The successful ones I found, they made it happen, but it had to be a
Definitely.
complete struggle to do it that way. So tell us about when you jumped in that
Sure.
first year.
So I think I left the corporate job mid-year, I want to say May, and I remember my husband saying, "I'd like you to make half the money you made, so really you have another half year left, so get after it." And I struggled. I sent out postcards and I had conversations. This was back in 2006, so it's been a minute. I'm having my 20th anniversary next year in April. So I remember trying to get people to convince them that I could do the job, right? And I looked really young and I didn't have any knowledge, but you team up with people that help you with the right scripts and the right conversations and you start to learn how do I want to attract talent or,
Mhm.
clients that know that I'm talented. So I made myself the most talented person I could be at the time and I had big conversations and someone would take a chance on me and then that other person would take a chance on me and I built off of that. But my first transactions did not come for let's say 5 months. And then I sort of popped in November and
Mm,
December of that year. And then I felt confident. And so it's a loop. Everything is a circular loop. You have to start with mindset, skill set, action. Then when you have a closing or you have a transaction or you have a client that takes care of you and you take care of them, you get confidence. Then the next one comes and you become more attractive. I think I'm an attractive person because I'm positive, because I'm always trying to drive. I have my bad moments, I have my bad days, but overall, 90% of my life is based on constant opportunity, hope, and love. So you want to attract people that want to work with you. And the confidence in doing one transaction brings the next and the next and next. And you know you can do it. So if I've had a couple years of lower transactions or not as much work, I know that I can do it because I've done it before.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you start building now, right? You get a little nervous those 4 or 5 months, nothing's happening. I'm sure your husband was nervous.
Oh
And
yeah.
then November, December, it starts hitting. Awesome.
Yes.
Okay. Now you get into year 2, 3. I know that like you've gone from building teams back to solo. Tell us about how a little bit of the process, like what
Sure.
happened, how did it build, and some of the hard times that you were
Sure.
able to get through.
So I would say 0 to 5 years were very difficult because those are the solo years, and you're piecemealing an assistant or a transaction coordinator or someone part-time, full-time here or there. Can you show a house for me? You really don't have systems. You are just trying to fly by the seat of your pants, trying to close 1 deal per month, maybe 2 deals per month. And I was doing fairly well, if I'm honest. I did become the number one agent in the office, but I wasn't. I was very stressed out and running around a lot, and I finally would find an assistant, but they wouldn't last more than 6 months to a year. And then I built a team. I got to a place where about 5 or 6 years into the business, I built a team. I found uh, one transaction coordinator virtual, one gal that was my assistant in the office, and then another woman that I partnered with, and she helped me quite a bit. And we ended up splitting. She did all the buyers, and I did all the listings. And we had a very nice relationship. We were called Top Atlanta Real Estate for a long time, about 4 years, and we did a ton of business and had a great relationship, but all the risk and all the sort of discomfort was on me. I was
Mm,
bringing all the business in. I was having all the expenses. So I was carrying those 4 people plus my husband plus 2 children. And so I would go to bed at night very stressed out.
well,
And in 2007, 2017, 2016, when I started talking about Ben Kinney about the possibility of partnership way before Place ever started, he talked to me about having less stress and more structure, having more consistent business, having more systematic approaches, having support. And the risk would be we would be together as a partner. So he was my business partner first. And that's how I think in the last 8 years, I've been able to do even better and build a collaborative team. If you're trying to do real estate solo for too long of a time, you forget that there are other people that can help you, and you can spread the risk,
mm,
you can spread the support, and it becomes a lot easier, and you do more business that way, honestly, because you feel so powerful. So that's what
so
happened. Yeah.
yeah. So you were building, obviously, you were young, didn't have a sphere of influence, didn't have past customers that took the 5, 6, 7 years. You start building that to then where, you could have a small team and other people reaching out, right? So talk about, I guess, as because you talked about like it growing, building it, kind of coming, contracting, building it. It's 20 years, right? Lots of different things happening in the
Mhm.
market. Tell us something that you would not do again.
I think, wow, when I joined Ben Kinney and we created Place, it was not understanding how to bring people into the business with you as partners. Basically, I think I was a little bit of a manager at the beginning and saying, oh, if you have a pulse, you can come with me and work with me. But I wasn't really understanding what it takes to partner with someone, really understanding what their goals, making sure that they
Mm,
match your goals. We're on this ship, right? We're going to the moon. And if there's any sort of deterrence from that path to the moon, that person, you and that person are not heading in the same direction. So I was hiring very quickly, and I was not training very well, and I wasn't throwing myself into the business as much because I was over here stressed out about making sure that I was closing, transactions. And I think you have to remember that anything you do in life, you have to take your eye off this ball essentially to be able to focus on these people. So it's similar to like marriage and children, right? When you get married, it's just you and your spouse, right? But when you have a child, you have to find a way to spend some time with your spouse and time with your child. Then you have a second child. You have to spend time with your child and your two children and your spouse. Well, it's the same thing in real estate when you're running a team. I can't just focus on me.
mhm,
And so I have to give love to my transaction coordinator and give love to my assistant and give love to my buyer's agent. And then I was at a point where I had 12 to 20 buyer's agents. Well, that's also difficult because you need a second leader, and you're also not always spending as much time with all these agents to understand what their needs are. And so they might leave you. So there's risk and reward in all of this, right? I'm very comfortable with where I'm at. I've learned a lot. I've made mistakes, but I've taught people that are now successful agents. They may still be on the team, some of them have left, but we've got a great relationship and we part as friends. And that's what you can do with people. It's seasonal life. Not everyone stays forever, right? But in the
yeah.
process, you're building leaders and you're becoming a leader yourself. So I'm Karen 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, constantly changing, improving myself. And then that I think will attract people to come to our team and know that we have something to offer and help them learn.
Great, great. Love it, love it. So tell us a little bit about what are you doing? Are you doing local events? Like now you're doing this 20 years. I'm sure you're doing a bit of everything. Tell
Sure.
us about some of the real successful events you do locally to support your sphere and attract new customers.
Yeah. We actually have a few different things we do every year. One of our annual things is we do photos in the park at Piedmont Park. It's this gigantic kind of a central park space. And we go there and we have a professional photographer and we set up a scene with some great high rises in the background. And we provide these photos for our clients for free. And clients love it. But the coolest thing is we attract clients when we're there. So people will walk by.
Right.
Everyone, there's always someone who's getting engaged. There's someone who's just had a baby with a stroller. So we end up finding brand new clients because we're offering a valuable resource for them for free. We had a client event at the Braves game, and we had probably 10 people out of the 100 and some people we brought that had never been to a Braves game. And
Wow.
because we were providing them with free tickets, they had an opportunity in a brand new stadium that they would never have had. So then they brought their friends, and now their friends want to work with us. And that's not why we do it. We do it because we love our clients. We want to help them. But at the same
Yep.
time, we build our business on conversation, and our clients, our past clients refer us business all the time. We're always meeting new people. That's got to be a really big part of your business. You've got to be open to meeting new people, and you've got to have a system of how you capture their information so you can stay in touch.
Love it, love it. And staying in touch, tell us some of the things you're doing. Are you big in social? How are you staying in touch
Yeah,
with your
we stay in
sphere?
touch all different ways. I mean, certainly, as you know, in this day and age, social media is a great way to stay in touch. I'm older. I'm 53, so I use Facebook. I don't know if a lot of people have used that. I'm just kidding. But of course, there's Instagram. There's all these different tools. But you can have great conversations. You're engaging with people. You're engaging both online in front of them on the portal, and then private messaging. And from there, I can find out, oh, somebody got into school. I'll text them separately, but I think it's a great way to have your news from your friends is what I think of Facebook. It's news from my friends, right? And then I have conversations with them on email, text, phone calls, events, things like that. So you're always following up. We have automatic plans. We use a product called Brivity, but we send them automatic messages that a newsletter once a month or information about their specific neighborhood, what has sold, what is on the
Cool.
market, etc. So we're staying in touch with people. When we follow up with people, I might meet someone outside in an open house or at a networking event. And so I'm instantly putting them into my database, making sure that they're connecting with me and they have data from me that they need. As much free data as I can provide my clients, whether it's through a product called Area Pro, where we tell them what's going on in their specific area, or whatever their needs are, I'm going to support them. I might send them a vendor. I might send them data that they want, but they know I'm their one stop shop for real estate needs.
Fabulous, fabulous. I love it, love it. Absolutely great. Look, you've given us a whole bunch of great tips. You talk like me very fast, which is great because you get more content in the same amount of time. Why
That's right.
speak slowly, right?
Northern girl.
Love the connections that we have, so we'll stay Facebook friends.
That's
But
right.
tell us about, please give us your social so you can share. Please follow Karen on social.
Yes.
Yeah, give us all of your social media.
So you can follow me on Instagram as Top Atlanta Agent, and it's also my handle for YouTube. And I am on Facebook, but although it's mostly like sort of the friend thing. So I think Top Atlanta Agent on Instagram is probably the best way to connect with me right now. And
Okay,
I'm looking forward
beautiful.
to my email is Karen@place.com if you ever want to reach out.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Karen. And
Oh
please
yeah.
follow Agent Moves as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until next time, Karen, thank you so much for your time. Love your thoughts and really appreciate it.
Okay, my pleasure. Thanks.